I think the doubt might come in the form of, are you able to build a product that you said will do what it says?
Then that comes from setting the right expectations, like what I mentioned just now. Don't expect it to be 100% what you imagine that product would be look like, and just maybe like give it a room of 20 to 30% that it won't look like the exact product that you imagine it to be.
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
that would actually help a lot.
yeah. I think it gets worse if you're a perfectionist.
Are you? Hi everyone, this is Audrey here, and welcome to another episode of the TheMiniCEO podcast. Today we have Miyen here from FilePillar, and we will let her briefly introduce herself first.
Hello, hello. So my name is Miyen, and I am the co-founder of FilePillar. I started my career in tax and global mobility, and I spent about 10 years there. So during that time, I helped multinationals calculate their taxes. I helped clients relocate across the globe. I also dealt with cross-border tax planning. So throughout the journey, I noticed an opportunity in the tax world. And well, we'll get into that later, but I founded FilePillar not too long ago, and we're in the business of automating company taxes.
Right. I like to dive into your background, as you say, is tax, because I find most of the people think it's boring. Tell us more about that.
Well, I don't disagree. Well, I mean, taxes is one of the oldest subjects in the world. Like, there's a saying, there's only two things certain in life, death and taxes. That being said, while tax is considered boring, it's something nobody can escape. So unfortunately, you have governments and people building complex tax issues that require tax accountants to understand the different complexities of
Mhm.
the jurisdictions around the world. And so unfortunately, it's a problem we really cannot escape.
Yeah.
But somehow I was led on to this path. I spent nearly a good decade in this space. So it wasn't just company taxes; it was also individual taxes.
Mhm.
And it also really depends on your specialty. But what I specialize is company taxes and individual taxes in Malaysia and Singapore. So in terms of what FilePillar is doing, we are actually doing company taxes. Um, well, just to give you a little bit of a background of what company taxes actually are,
Okay.
because usually we're more familiar with the taxes that you pay as an individual,
Yes.
but companies also have to pay taxes. Company taxes are a lot more complicated than individual taxes. It can be up to a few hundred pages of report. So one tax computation can be a few hundred pages long. And that also depends on the type of company, the type of industry you're in, the country you're in. So because of all these complexities, a lot of people actually pay a lot of money to have tax accountants help calculate their business taxes for them.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is we call them the tax agency or something like, or
Tax
COSAC do
firms.
that. Yeah.
Tax firms. So
Right.
tax firms are made up of tax accountants
Yeah.
that help businesses calculate their taxes.
And are you providing solutions as a file pillar to the tax firms or the company directly?
So our strategy is to go through the tax firms first because almost all companies they
They
rely
already have tax firms, right?
they don't have tax firms, but they appoint tax agents.
Right.
So tax agents, they come from tax firms or they could be solo practitioners. But what happens is because taxes are quite complicated,
Mm.
right? So business owners, they don't want to learn the tax
Mm.
laws and prepare the tax return. So what happens is 80 to 90% of the time, if not all the time, companies will get a tax agent from a tax firm to help prepare their calculations.
Mm.
So from that way, we are actually targeting tax firms because they are the one calculating the business taxes for the clients.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. So, how's the journey is like building FilePillar? So, I think let's dive into FilePillar's solution, um, because now we understand that every company that we set up, like even startups who are setting up their companies, I met many founders with, in some point of time they need to pay tax. So
Yes.
how does FilePillar provide the solutions to the company?
Yeah. Okay. So before the solution, I think we need to take a step back to the pain points that the current processors are
Mm-hmm.
facing.
Okay.
So right now, how it's done is that tax accountants, they have to collect data from the accountants.
Mm.
So the accountants are preparing your accounts,
Mm.
right? And then the auditors come in to check what the accountants do, whether or not what they said that you earned or you expensed off, is it correct or not.
Mm.
Once the auditors say, okay, good, this set of accounts are clear, then the tax people come in and calculate the taxes based on the correct financial statements,
Okay.
right? So now that process means that the tax people, they actually have to get many different sources of information from the auditor or the client or the
Yeah.
accountant, right? They have to get
Yeah.
their profit and loss, your general ledger, your audited financial statements. They then have to look through the information, figure out what needs clarification from the client, and then manually input all of that information into spreadsheets
Right.
or olden softwares. You have to actually manually add in each and every line expense or asset. And then after that, you calculate your taxes and then you file it to the tax authorities.
Yeah.
Now, the issue with this is the initial part, which is obtaining the data, clear, clean data
Yeah.
from the accountants,
Mm.
and understanding the nature of each transaction. So that's the difficult part. Um, where we come in is, sorry, maybe taking a step back again. Let me just give you an example. Let's say the accountants say, this is an entertainment expense. Now, an entertainment expense in an accountant's book is automatically, yes, it's an expense. Yeah, it's good, it's an expense. But for the tax authorities, they're like, what is this expense? Is it an expense to a potential client or is it an expense to a staff?
Mm.
So then you have to see the nature of this expense. If it's a potential client, you cannot claim it. It's not considered an expense.
Right.
If it's to your staff, it is an expense. So there's this very intricate way of understanding what each expense means.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to do it manually.
Mm.
Now, when we come in, is we're using AI to understand all of these expenses and using AI to read the tax laws and then apply the tax treatment to each of these expense items
Right.
and determine whether or not it should actually be classified as an expense in the eyes of the law.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So does the AI does the cleaning for the company, or the accountants still have to do their part in balancing the sheets and cleaning up all the financials data first, then only plug it into the AI?
Yeah, so that is actually the problem all industries are facing,
Mm.
the initial data ingestion. So the thing about AI is that depending on what model you use and also the format of the data that you put in, the more random a data, the lesser the consistency of the output of
Mm.
an AI.
Yep.
So unfortunately, that at this point of our journey and also at this point of technology, uh, we are looking at a hybrid approach So we are looking at a um, minimal data manipulation from the start and using AI as much as possible to read the data that we ingest. So there has to be some basic structure, meaning to say certain data fields has to be um, set. So for example, if it's a description, you have to put description and AI will search for description and read the lines under that. Um, but otherwise, we're trying to automate that process also through using OCR
Mm.
to look through the text in the Excel and the data and pull that data, push it through the LLM, and for LLM to decipher the information. So we're looking at both using AI and also the client minimally cleaning up the data.
Yeah, because I think most of the companies they already have accountant balancing their sheets year after year, right?
Yeah.
So that's already been done. It's just that maybe the description didn't fit what the AI trying to match with the tax policies. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, eventually, once AI starts reading more and more of these data,
Mm.
they eventually will pick up similarities
Yeah.
between different formats. But what we want to do is when we initially ingest the data, we want the data to be in a certain format,
Mm.
preferably, right? And then the more you feed AI, the better its accuracy.
Mm.
In terms of the accountants preparing or balancing the sheets, that's fine, but their deliverable is in the form of like a balance sheet and profit and loss. Sometimes companies they might have different formats of their profit and loss. So maybe some companies they might have 10 rows at the top of their page. Some companies might have no rows. So what we're looking at is ensuring certain data fields are kept
Mm.
similar so AI can come in and
Oh, okay.
just extract that.
So that that lesser rows or more rows at the top of their sheets, does that mean a different template as well for the
Um,
AI to understand?
so preferably that's something that we don't really want them to
To
remove.
dramatically extreme, right? The
Yeah.
cases by cases.
I think the number of rows on top it shouldn't matter much as long as like the data fields and let's say
Yeah.
description is the same. You have description, code, and amount. As
Mm.
long as AI can identify that within the sheet, that should be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. And so how's the journey is like? So building. I know you're still in building phase. Have you also while building validating with customers as well?
Yes, we definitely has been doing that. We actually got quite a bit of validation and feedback from either through network and
Mm.
also conferences.
Mm.
Actually, just about 2 weeks ago, we went to this conference and we actually met up with this pretty sizable tax firm.
Mm.
In fact, not one, but a few of them approached us and they were just eager to see our product. So what we did is we already have an MVP in place. If you want to see our MVP, you can schedule a demo with us. But what we noticed is that in the tax industry, you would assume that people are maybe they're not so technologically advanced.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually very willing to explore.
Mm.
So that was a surprise to us.
Oh
So
wow.
they actually approached us.
Is that in Singapore?
It
That
is Malaysia.
in conference in Malaysia.
It's in Malaysia. So because they approached us without us really, really asking them, it
Mm.
was a good feedback for us because we could see a very, very big pain point that they were experiencing,
Mm.
which is the whole process is very manual. So right now we've partnered up with a few tax firms as beta users. What we're doing is we are, working with them, understanding their most wanted features in the product.
Mhm.
We're building that and then going back testing it with them and
Are
vice
they
versa.
using your MVP and testing it out and giving you feedback from there?
I would say they're not. Yes, they are in a way, but they're not using it for their work.
Okay,
So what they're doing is they're just
like a R&D on the side
correct.
with
Yeah.
templates or formats that they use.
Yeah, yeah. So they're just clicking through, seeing what can be added on and stuff because they currently still are using their own old software.
Yeah,
So and that works, and that works. Our one hasn't. We haven't
being
built out of
tested.
the full workflow yet. Yeah.
Right, right. That is a very good progress that you have made there. And I also seen that you have been to a lot of conferences and speak at on some of the stage. So how big is your team right now? Like um are you just two co-founders doing it, you and Walter, or is there a bigger team to help you out on this journey?
Yeah. So Walter's my co-founder. The two of us. We have three engineers. We have a designer, UI UX designer, and we have a tax advisor that we are working with on the side as a part-time basis. Yeah, just so that I can bounce off ideas lah.
That is cool. Okay. And I think we're all startup founders who are into this using AI or building an AI workflow for to solve a problem, right? I think what I recently listened to a podcast is that um, AI is advancing like so fast that 6 months ago, AI, everyone talking about AI, and today we talk about AI is rapidly changing and advancing. So, but in another words, is that in other industry, I mean, like tax or HR, the way of doing things, like it doesn't change so much within that 6 months compared to AI. And I think people who are interested in using AI to solve like problems in tax or HR, which has been quite stagnant in their workflow, it's pretty interesting to see how AI can actually speed boost everything in those. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. The thing with them is, unfortunately, they're not privy to the advancements of AI.
Mm,
So when you showcase a simple thing like using OCR to extract data from a PDF,
yeah.
they get excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting because while AI is advancing in a rapid space, um, putting it into current existing workflows, while it's possible, I still feel that it's a race to see who can actually implement AI into these workflows.
Mm,
Um, so I think there is some issues with implementing AI into these really old workflows. First is the domain. You need some kind of domain expertise. It's not We cannot have another AI wrapper for these industries. It doesn't work because their processes are so intricate. You really need to go into their, you really need to have the know-how and understanding of these certain industries. So um, while we have AI that can build MVPs from just vibe coding and stuff like that, you can't, it's difficult to use that for industries like calculating taxes. It's a lot more intricate than that. You can use it for research purposes, but actually using AI as an AI agent to behave how humans do is another challenge. And I think that's the next step of what I'm looking forward to, people actually implementing AI into actual work and
mm.
not just as a chatbot.
No.
Yeah, or a research tool.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. Even though I have nothing against AI rapper, but what I think is that like what you mentioned just now, wipe coding is good for prototyping. I have nothing against wipe coding. You can prototype 20 different versions of how to automate tax flow workflow in a day, like 20 different types of, prototype interface, UI, UX, or, things like that that people can try and use and see what works best. But doesn't mean it can build the back end or the infrastructure to actually make that workflow works, like exactly what you say. Tax is consider every country they have different tax policies and it's considered very localized.
Mm.
What about expanding your solutions to other countries like Singapore have a different tax policy? What is Is that pretty easy to customize to another country's tax paying format or
Yeah, so I think that's why we've started FilePillar is this is an inflection point that we think is the right time to jump into the tax space. Tax, as you correctly pointed out, is notorious for its very siloed like tax laws depending on each country. And that is a very big barrier of entry pre AI, right? I'm not saying that it's still not a big barrier of entry, but now with AI, you suddenly have the ability to read every country's tax laws and understand them without having to hire or get advice from tax consultants from every country. So that's a huge thing. I think AI has advanced greatly in the legal space. So tax is actually in the intersection of legal and accounting, I could say that, because tax talks about tax laws, which is a legal aspect. And that is the reason why AI has advanced so much into the legal space, is because it can it can read laws, public rulings, and understand that in a semantic level. So back to your question, yes, we have been talking to other countries. For now, it's just Malaysia and Singapore. And also, I think Philippines. We were curious about them. Um, but definitely, we are seeing a big opportunity in countries where, first of all, they have complex tax jurisdictions, right? And because they have complex tax jurisdictions, they want solutions to help them simplify the calculations. Second of all, are countries that can actually pay. So we're looking at these two things. So, can you pay, and are you complex enough that you want a solution that you want to pay anything? Yeah.
Mm. That sounds good. Yeah, because I think a lot of Southeast Asian, there's a lot of SMEs, and not just. I think most of the Southeast Asian businesses are in the very like agriculture or manufacturing plants that they have here, that I think they have enough profit, or they are heavily rely on paying lots of uh, to the tax agents or tax firms. And I think that when your solutions come in, it would actually help them speed up all these processes. And yeah, and I think they, like what you mentioned, they are more excited to explore than to stray away, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, business owners, they're not really involved in the calculation of the
Mm,
taxes. What business owners want is they want financial advice.
mm,
So what we've seen is that they actually rely surprisingly a lot on their tax agents or their tax firms to provide financial advice. So somehow, like if you are doing their taxes, you somehow double up also as their financial advisor. So that's put a lot of burden on the tax firms.
right.
Yeah, because they're also asking, oh, should I dispose these shares today or should I wait for next year? Because all of that have tax implications, and tax implications means financial implications. So
And I think these tax agents or tax firms can actually grab their market share by providing more of this advice, right? Like some of them, like, oh, how can I pay lesser tax? I
yeah,
think this is a very common questions. Like maybe I do things this way or that way. Maybe I don't know,
yeah,
and that would make you like more popular among like business owners, or things like that.
yeah. I would say if you're a tax firm and you really want to get into their good books, you want to be very transparent with your business owners. Um, I think business owners are looking for transparency.
Mm.
They don't want to be suddenly surprised at the end of tax season and say, oh my God, I have this amount of taxes.
Mm.
Um, what they want is you to be with them every step of the way. Tell them from the get go what expenses they should be avoiding or what expenses they should incur more of before the year begins, because after the year ends, it's too late, right? So
Yeah.
if you can do that, that would be good. But the thing is, a lot of tax firms, they're very overworked. So they just do the bare minimum, which is just calculating the taxes for these business owners and answering, basic questions from them. Because if you want to provide more insights, you actually have to, understand the company, understand their patterns, that their expenses for the past 5 years. So there's a lot of work that you have to do that is maybe not within the tax firm's scope. Yeah.
If your solutions can help reduce their tax agents and tax firms mundane work, from what I see is that they can offer more solutions, which is the advisor part
Yeah.
to the business owner. Do you kind of like position yourself in that way, like, hey, my AI tool can actually help you do all the calculations on the job that you have to read Excel files every day and help your business owners to, calculate tax and all that stuff. But now with these solutions, you can give more advice to your business owner. Yeah. It's more of the human touch that they can do now for their clients, and then their clients will, be more sticky to them as well.
Yes, that is absolutely right. um, so because of AI, we're seeing actually a shift. If AI can be implemented correctly, we are seeing a shift from being a preparer to being a reviewer or a high level advisor. Um, and that is a very, very, it's a big advantage for tax firms, because right now there are lesser and lesser graduates entering into the accounting space. We see maybe it could be, they find other industries more sexier, like tech, for example. So there are less and lesser people coming into this space. And what happens is that tax firms are really struggling to hire people.
Wow.
And it's not only them, but it's also accountants in general. So, and not only struggling to hire, but also retaining staff and and training them. So now, using AI, we can actually shift the profile of people preparing to people reviewing. And I think that's going to excite a lot more tax accountants, because nowadays, the younger people, they want to do more important work, impactful work. They don't want to be in front of the desktop keying in numbers from the PDF. Oh, let me just key in
Yeah.
item one, item two, item three. They don't want to be spending hours doing that. Um, so if we can somehow give them faster, higher level roles, that would eventually give them a little bit more meaning to be in this profession. And the domino effect is that now, because we have insights that AI can automatically extract from the data, uh, directors or partners of these tax firms are able to utilize this data immediately and share it with their clients. And what this means is that clients are able to get financial insights quicker and more transparent from these tax firms.
Mhm.
So that's a win-win situation for both ends. So I was talking to a few tax firms. They said they're really excited about AI being able to read everything and immediately pull out certain patterns. So, for example, like this company, how okay, companies, they're afraid of being audited. Audited means checked by the police, okay, in layman term. So the sometimes they want to figure out how many times the company has been audited in the past 5 years. For example, they want to spot a trend. So they're not going to be sifting through hundreds of clients and figuring out how many times this client has been audited. It's going to be a lot of manual work. But if AI can automatically pull out the data and give it to the tax firm, that is actually what they're really interested, because that's a lot of value added to their client. So on top of what we're building, which is automating the entire workflow, we're also building a platform for AI to extract this data and into a chatbot. So you can ask any kind of data that you want from our system.
What I see is this AI trend. Of course, there are more students studying computer science, majoring in AI. But what I still think is it's not enough. I think more people, like anyone, should still learn how to code and not just wipe code. As you know, wipe coding, there are so many stories about it. Is it's like they did not build a secure app or secure software enough, especially for regulated software like yours. And they leak API, they leak important passwords that it is not a secure software. Because before I study about coding, I kind of like, oh, just wipe code and build stuff. But actually, to make a, like what you mentioned, the a working software, not secure enough to, sell your solutions out. And I think most people should learn how to code, and not just students who are from computer science, but for product manager, for designer, for, even accountants, business salesperson. The reason why I mentioned that is also quote from Andrew Ng from deeplearning.ai, is that um, if all these roles that is like HR knows how to code, they know how to build a software that is very deep into domain expert, like what is exactly their workflow is like. I think that is so cool. And I think you're an emerging startup founder that is, doing this part that is really important and crucial to the industry, where I think not many tax um, agents or tax firms have enough time to, come out and say, oh, I want to build this software to, because they are bogged down with all these paperwork, hard work
Yeah.
every day, right?
Yeah, that's true. Like, um, it's really interesting because leveraging on that, I think I'm gonna bet that coding is gonna be a subject that you have to learn in school. I'm pretty sure it's already there. I don't know. I don't have children, so I don't know what the school curriculum is. But you know how maybe last time when when you were in school, how economics or accounting was a
It's
fundamental skill that
yes,
you had to learn.
yeah.
Um, I think coding might be part of the school syllabus already. I don't know, but I'm not surprised if it is
Mm-hmm.
because it's taking over the world, honestly. And what you mentioned is vibe coding is really not enough. Vibe coding is, I feel, it's just a surface level. I'm not a coder, but I vibe code it, and I know that it doesn't work. So, but yeah, you still need people in the industries. Um, People who are coders are really smart people who know how to handle code,
Mhm.
but they still need to understand what they can use their code on.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's what I noticed. A lot of tech people, they might be lacking, which is actual real world application of their own knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it's like it's so important to merge the both of them, domain expertise and tech. But what's even better would be your domain expertise person understanding coding, not maybe not as deep as an actual coder, but just enough so that they can speak the same language.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're actually going to be seeing more of a shift of people understanding maybe basic coding so that they can talk to their their coders. And on the other hand, I don't know how coders, whether or not they want to get a job on the side to kind of understand the domain at which they are building a technology from,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so
I think those builders I spoke to a lot of software developers in Malaysia and Canada, and I find that most I've worked with developers for more than 10 years because I'm a product manager, right, in corporate. So I kind of understand how they think. And most of the time, just sharing because you asked me, um, developers have their own pet projects most of the time because they can build. And most of the time, they find something interesting, like even building an egg timer. Like when you're just a fresh grad, you're just an intern, they find that building stuff is fun, so that they keep building. But doesn't mean that it contribute to what you mentioned, like the domain expert that actually solve a real world problem. But they do have, they do build most of the time. And when I was in Canada last month, there's this students, he is graduating master in computer science, is building something that is trending on TikTok. I don't even know what he's trying to do, but he's building something. So yeah, that I hope that answer your question. And I think I wanted to touch on like how us startup founders is trying really hard to get enterprises to buy our solutions. So back in 1 week ago, I was in Vietnam, and I was pitching to enterprise, and there was like a good event that, shout out to Gen AI Fund, that is an enterprise from Vietnam, like KFC, Coca Cola, who is pitching to startups. They were on the stage sharing all their real problems within their organization to startups and see what we can help solve for them. And of course, I pitched to tech companies like games industry, VNG Games in Vietnam. And but I find that just coming back from that trip, they wanted product ready um, solution, which is what startup are doing now is we build in public. I'm sure we build in public. It's not like we have a full blown ready product. It's just an MVP, but we still sell before we even have anything like the very fancy features ready. So it's just so basic that they think that we are doing side quests or adjacent to our product that we customize for them. What do you think about this founder's journey?
Oh man, I relate. I think especially in this region, people's risk tolerance might be slightly lower. And what that means is they prefer to see a ready, fully made product before they put in their money. I don't blame them. Maybe, for whatever reason, they need to have it working. And it's interesting because right now, I think the startup space in this region of the world, Malaysia, is booming. But in order for us to really truly boom, we need a change of mindset of how people also look at our products. So it's really different from the West. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but the the startups from the West, there's no stigma of building together with your customers. Customers are so open to say, "Here's my money. Yeah, I know you don't have a product ready, but I'm betting on you. I like your idea. Let's build it together." You know,
Yeah,
and they're so willing to use a product that's not fully 100% ready and pay for it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a very different mindset in Asia. So these are the problems that us early stage startups are really facing.
For I want to talk about a little bit like my startup journey here to share with you and the audience is that Twin.ai, we are building AI digital twin. And many people doubt us and want to see our product here. It's because they doubt Malaysians can build tech, basically. And in the West, when I was in Canada for a month, I speak to all like master and PhD students in AI or even VCs, is that they know the pain point, the real world problem that we're solving for them is an AI dev tool. And They just say, I love the idea and let me know when it's ready. So they say things like this that is so empowering, encouraging, and supportive. But over here is like no product, it means you can't build. It's just so brutal and cruel to, I don't know. It's just that there's no, in Southeast Asia, I don't mean to say that nobody can build, but it's just that the builders were doubted most of the time.
You're right. You're right. And the journey of being an early stage founder, especially in this region, can get really lonely because sometimes you can be building for many, many months and even many years and not really see any visible product. Sorry, any visible progress. And sometimes that can lead to a lot of burnout that I see in the region. And I think that's not really talked about that often. I wanted to ask, like, you're building Swin.ai. How has it been for you so far?
Well, of course, I do feel the same. Like I get burnout, to be honest. And as for the past 6 months, I think our journey, we started at a similar time, right? It was end of last year. We came up with our idea. Even though you're building in text, I'm building in dev tool space. But we started similar. So, and it has been 7 months. Like I let's say 6 months, and you have seen me going to a lot of events.
Everywhere.
Like I'm everywhere. I am, working not just as a startup founder. I did organize an event in January, attend like more than 5 to 8 events per month. I've calculated, join another accelerator program, plus traveling to Canada, to Vietnam, to Japan, and to meet, you know, trying to get enterprises to, or a pilot project basically. I am exhausted. And I think I speak to my co-founder David, and I think the question he would ask me is that, are you having a very high expectations? So I think high expectations, like you when you mention building for many months and you don't see result, is that coming from a very high expectation? Like, is that tech supposed to be built in 3 months? Is that supposed to be built in 6 months? And what are your expectations when it's built? Like, is it a very fancy product or is it a very basic product? So I think setting a very different expectations you have for yourself and your company or your team would actually cause the burnout. But for us, I think it's funny because no one has the technology of capturing your thought process yet with an AI twin, and we're building that. So that requires research. And of course, every single person that we speak to in the market, when are you gonna finish building it? It's like even startup founders ask me, if you don't have a product, how are you gonna sell? How are you gonna survive this startup journey? You'll be financially depleted before you even have a product to sell. So it's like I when I answer them, oh, it's gonna take a year for us to build this to be a product that can sell. So even startup founders are shocked. Don't even talk about VC because we can't even commercialize even after 1 year. So, and I know a lot of people around us is cannot brain that why are we taking such a long time to build. It's because David went to San Francisco, speak with so many tech founders there within the 2 weeks, and people haven't figured out how to build this yet too. So we have validated that we are building something that has not existed before, and that is very different from building an AI wrapper or just building for an AI workflow. I mean, just building for any workflow.
Yeah.
So building a new tech takes time.
Yeah.
And if we set the expectation, like if I tell my co-founder, hey, build this in 6 months, that is not possible. So if I let go of this part of me, like as in I don't even ask him like when is it gonna be done. I think I never asked this since the very beginning of like this year. Like,
That's very understanding of you.
but I'm having a tough time to answer to other people. It is nothing going on within the team. There's no like stressing out like, oh no, we can't build this
Yeah.
today. But it's not like that, but it's actually external that is comes where the doubting, right? External doubting you cannot build because you have no product.
I think yeah, I can feel that because especially as startup founders and you want to start brand awareness earlier. I think both of us we're not building in stealth. We chose the path of building in public. What that means is we are telling other people what we're building before we've built any product. And that has pros and cons. That helps build brand awareness before the product's launched. But it also kind of puts you out in the open for people to judge you,
Yeah.
for everyone to judge your investors, your peers, your family, because we don't blame them because it's our own journey, but because we're putting ourselves out there and we're talking about it for months and months and months on
And
end
nothing comes
and
out.
nothing, sometimes you also doubt yourself. It's not to say you doubt yourself, but you're like, am I conning people in public? We're
I
not
don't
conning people
have
in
that.
public. Just
I don't have that thought. So I'll let you finish, but I don't have that thoughts. Yeah, I will let you
okay.
know why. Yeah.
All right, sure. Yeah, so it's not to say you're conning people, but you kind of like you tell them that you're building this, but it's taking a really long time, and yeah, sometimes you just feel like, is this going to work out? You internally you might not know exactly when it's gonna build or so because there can be multiple things that happen during the journey that you never foresaw and that could add even more things on the timeline. And you're right that when you start answering people, because you're building in public, obviously you'll be attracting attention and people will be asking you questions, and so you need to be ready to answer those questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, as compared to doing in stealth. So building in stealth, sometimes it could be better if let's say you're a first time founder, just giving some advice to the audience that building in stealth also has its benefits where you're you're not only dealing with your own internal expectations. Sorry, by building itself means you're just dealing with your own internal expectations and not with other people, so that could alleviate a little bit more of the burden.
Talking about perfectionist, right? I used to be like that, but then being a startup founder, you cannot be one. Like I think David's third time founder, as you already know, is my co-founder. So he said, "You there's you can never be ready." Like I want to send an email out, but I don't think we're at the stage to send an email out yet. And then he said, "Do it when it's not even ready because the momentum is more important than the results."
I do agree 100% with that. Like, we're both first time founders, right? So there are certain things that we don't know.
Mm.
We don't know what to expect. We don't know, it's very different from corporate. So David being a third time founder and my own co-founder Walter being a second time founder, they have the exact same mentality. Just do it. Do it imperfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it imperfect. And that is something that I had to struggle with initially to kind of like talk to people before I am even ready. So that was a
Same,
huge mindset shift that I had to do at the beginning. I'm
same.
still learning. I'm not, perfect, obviously, but yeah, this is a it's a learning journey.
It's funny when you know I delayed something for like 5 days or a week, and then David is following up. Have you done that yet? And I say no. I'm avoiding.
Yes.
I just said it out like no. I'm avoiding.
Sometimes you really need them to just push you. Yeah,
Yes.
just push me, man. Like, I have no willpower to do this myself. Just push me.
It's like no. I just couldn't do it.
I did not
Yeah.
forget. I just don't want to do
Yeah.
it.
I think it makes sense. Like you cannot be a solo founder. That I think I couldn't be a solo founder. That's for sure.
Well, I
I
mean,
need someone to keep me in check. That really
yeah.
helps with the mental health part.
You
Like
have an accountably you have
yes,
a buddy to kind of like bounce off your
yes,
ideas and your stress with. Yeah. I mean, the industry that we're in, I think solo founders are if it's you need to have a very, very strong personality and a lot of experience. It's completely different. I was actually previously a founder for, just trading goods, silk goods. So that was a very different thing from what we're doing now.
mm,
What we're doing now is we're building leading edge tech
mm,
that the world has not yet seen.
yeah,
So that's a completely different ball game.
yeah, yeah. I really love you to be on my podcast, but I think this is coming to an end. I have a question to ask startup founders at the end of this podcast. Is that um, if you need any support for your startup journey, whether introduction from VC or more clients to test your MVP, or getting your brand to be more awareness, like what's the ask you would ask the audience here?
Well, if you're a tax firm or if you're a business owner, feel free to reach out to me. We are currently actively building the product. We are planning to launch it in a few months. So another ask would be, because we are really actively in the build, we are also actively seeking out software engineers and also UI UX designers to join our team.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for having me.